The real problems that are happening right now would probably make you depressed if they hadn't already, and that is the cost of living. And the cost of living, we say we're in a cost of living crisis. I don't know if it's a crisis, but it certainly is a problem for large numbers of people. We said this morning that yesterday's decision by the Reserve Bank Governor Adrian Orr to lift the official cash rate only by 25 basis points, but that will lead to the average mortgage in Auckland. It's stunning. The average mortgage in Auckland being $4,400 a month. Now that's a large amount to pay just on a mortgage. A good component of that, maybe the majority component of that, being just interest. So also though, every time we go to the supermarket, every time we fill up at the petrol station, every time we go out at all and spend any money on anything, we all notice as the prices have risen. And it has become the issue of this year, and no doubt it will dominate the election as well. Joining us to talk about this, and also whether or not there aren't those profiting from these times at our expense, is Communications Manager for Consumer Institute, Jessica Walker. Jessica, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Welcome.
Hi there, how are you?
Very well. Tell me, first of all, before we get into this issue to do with the cost of living, the Consumers Institute, what is it? What does it do?
Well, we're Consumer New Zealand, so we are a not-for-profit organisation that aims to champion and empower New Zealanders to kind of really, kind of bat for themselves, know their rights, and know what isn't okay. And we just want to keep an eye on businesses as well to make sure that they're doing the right thing by consumers. So that, like you say, times are really hard at the minute, and we don't want to see people paying more than they need to for goods and services.
You also do things like product reviews and things like that, is that right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So our bread and butter. So what we were known for originally was our product testing. So we would test a whole load of different things, and then go out and say what is the best. So look at how durable these things are, how well they perform, how much they cost, give them a rating, and help people make informed choices so that when they do go out to buy products, they get the best value for their money.
Yes, and I have to say I joined you, so what am I, a financial member, because you charge a fee each year to join, isn't it? What is the fee? I can't remember now.
So the cheapest option is $12 a month, and that would get you. So a lot of our product reviews and test results are behind a paywall. So somebody who pays for a membership gets to see all those test results. We'll get to see all of the in-depth investigations, but also gets advice. Access to the advice line, where if you have a consumer issue, you find out and our very knowledgeable consumer experts will talk you through how to get to the bottom of your problem. Okay, so listen, you are the organisation that's been around. I think you're one of the, if not one of the most trusted organisations in New Zealand. Yes. As you say, you've been doing this for a while. You put out a magazine. I think my parents used to get. Have you still putting out the actual magazine? Yeah, that's right. Yes, the magazine's been going about 60 years now, and we're now putting it out quarterly. So yeah, every season there'll be a new one for your doorstep, talking about the latest consumer news and our latest test results, and other things that we're advocating on at that particular time.
Now, the thing that's always surprised me, can I say though, is that you often find products that are crap. I think for the last month of April you did whiteware washing machines, for example. And you're finding washing machines that really don't deserve the word, that they are sort of boxes with something spinning around them. And yet they are allowed to be sold in this country nevertheless, even after extensive product reviews and you've identified major flaws and failings. Why is that?
I don't actually know. I can't speak to that particular point, but I guess that's the benefit of being a member, is that, before you go out and make such a big purchase like that, you'll be able to have a look and see how our experts rate this machine and whether it is worthwhile spending money on it.
Yeah, but that's the thing that annoys me over the last 60 years of this going. I think this of food as well too, Jessica. I go, yes, but you've identified a thing that is, it's essentially almost a con. They're selling you something that isn't worth the value. You've pointed this out to them, you've tested it, You've gone back to them to ask for questions. They don't reply to you, but they continue to sell into the New Zealand market and separate people from their hard-earned cash. You do wonder, is there a legal facility that's available to the government to ban products like that?
If something was dangerous, then there absolutely would be. But in terms of whether it performs not as well as you would want it to, then yeah, that would be, I guess you would exercise your rights under the Consumer Guarantees Act. If you're buying a product that's not fit for purpose, then you are within your rights to request a refund or replacement.
Yeah, I
not
know.
that you want it replacing if it's no good.
Yeah, but that's just time consuming.
Point, it is time consuming. Yeah, I agree. And if things are being sold that are a pile of junk, then that's not very good.
All right. Now, cost of living crisis. We are in it at the moment. As I said, mortgage is just one facet of this. I guess the last time I can compare in my lifetime, Jessica, would be going back to the 1990s when it was this tough, this grim, perhaps early 90s. But a lot of families are struggling, obviously. What tips could you provide to anybody to save money in the current scenario?
So as you say, at the moment, everything is really expensive, and we are hearing that people are struggling. That's coming through in our research, that right now, no matter how old you are, the cost of living is your number one concern. And so I think over 80% of people are now making more mindful, deliberate choices when they go about their supermarket shopping and their day-to-day expenses. Do I really need this? Can I get it cheaper somewhere else? Is there a cheaper alternative? And unfortunately, there's not that much that people can do to save money in terms of, your grocery shopping especially. So something that we're really hot on at the moment is trying to hold the supermarkets to account, because we have seen an influx from our supporters and members of supermarkets who are offering special offers that are not actually that special at all. And so we're worried that the supermarkets are kind of cashing in on this. People see a yellow sticker, they buy a product, and actually when they get to the till, it's either costing them more than the shelf price said, or the special price is no better than the retail price normally would be, or even, dodgy naughty buys where you see something that's $2 for $5, but if you lift the ticket, they're actually only $2 each. So we're worried that when people can't afford to be spending extra dollars on things like this, that the supermarkets may be taking advantage.
I'm glad you phrased that, because I come across examples just locally in my supermarket of that happening, where, for example, instead of buying one, they'll offer, say, a packet of biscuits, and there's, you have 2 packets of biscuits locked together, and they'll say, special this week, and you work it out that in actual fact, it's more expensive than if you bought those packet of biscuits singly, and bought 2 of them.
Shocking, yeah.
But I mean, and it's too common to talk about. Can I say that is a form of trickery? There is no question about that. It is designed to bring you to those particular products. That's why they put them out there. Apart from us not buying them or being sort of savvy, what sanction applies to that sort of chicanery?
So what we're doing is we're collecting all this evidence. So far we've got 300 examples, in fact maybe actually closer to 400 now, and we're collating this and we're going to give it to the Commerce Commission for them to make a decision about whether they want to investigate, whether there's potential breaches of the Fair Trading Act, by making consumers feel as they're getting a bargain when that's not the case. So that's the main kind of channel of recourse, really. The other thing you can do is when this happens, you can go to the supermarket and say, you overcharged me for this, or this isn't really a special, and they should do everything they can to put that right. So Countdown themselves, they've got a policy whereby they will refund you and let you keep the products for free if you're overcharged. Foodstuffs don't offer that same offer, so New World and Pack and Say wouldn't give you the same. But yeah, if you see something like that at Countdown, it's definitely worth your while bringing it to the staff's attention.
As you say, New World and Pack and Save don't offer that. All right, now that is, you've reached my bugbear, which is supermarkets. Every time I go in there, and I'm the supermarket shopper in my family, I have a sharp intake of breath at how the price rises are keeping on. It's not like they're ever stable anymore. There's just there's a gradual and steady incremental growth each week in my shopping bill. And I guess your consumers are noticing that too, huh?
Absolutely, yeah, we're seeing that more and more. And just this week, a journalist contacted us to say, a block of cheese was, I think, $14 at one supermarket, and 10 kilometres down the road, the same block of cheese was $4 cheaper. So what we're advising customers and consumers to do, if they've got the means, is to check on something called the Grocer app, which is crowd-fed, and people go in and say how much products are at particular stores. So it's really not worthwhile being loyal to one particular supermarket. I know it's a pain, but it is worthwhile shopping around, because you can stand to save a significant amount of money by just comparing prices.
Actually, what's the app again, please? Or is it an app, or is it a
Grocer?
Grocer.
Yeah, it is an app, but you can look it up on a browser as well. And what it allows you to do is put in particular supermarkets. So the other day, I just looked at all the ones closest to our headquarters country in New Zealand, and just tracking particular items. So this was a 1 kilo block of, I think it was Edam cheese, and there was a $4 or $5 price difference in different supermarkets. So it is worth having a look if you've got the time.
And that's the question, have you got the time? But nevertheless, it's still good advice. Listen, but I'll tell you what, though, it seems there's a bit of a flaw, and it's not your fault, but it does seem a bit of a flaw in the logic that you're going to then place all this evidence in front of the Commerce Commission. Now, the Commerce Commission, I don't know what they do for a job, but I'm not all that sure that they protect the consumer from rapacious corporates. They have failed, haven't they? Haven't they dropped the ball in a big way on supermarkets?
Well, with the reforms that are going to be in place, we're going to have to watch and see. So we're really hopeful here at Consumer that it is going to make a difference. But it's just going to be a case of watching and seeing how this plays out over the next few months. And we're really hopeful that consumers are going to start seeing the supermarket prices being a bit what we would call fairer.
Okay, and you're saying the problem is essentially we've got a duopoly in this country of grocers?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and
lack of competition.
And so there's no competition. It's just, it's sort of like a market. It's a monopoly in essence with both of them. Do they really compete with each other, or is it just that they are offering specials once a week? Well, is that to get people through their door permanently?
Well, it's hard to say, isn't it? They're all advertising all these specials, and how special is a special? So, there's some things that are on special price for half the year, and it doesn't seem right. It makes it really hard as a consumer to know what to do to make the best possible choice for yourself and for your wallet. And we just really want them all these supermarkets to stand up and do the right thing.
The other thing is fruit and vegetables. I'm struggling to see, for the first time in my life, I'm sitting here and saying, it would be difficult to feed a family of 4 on a limited budget because the price of fruit and vegetables is just exponential. Yeah,
and it's kind of prohibitively expensive for a lot of families right now, 22.5% in the year. That's a staggering difference. So, like you say, it does make it really, really difficult to feed your family a healthy, balanced diet.
And the amazing thing to me is we also get second-class fruit, particularly fruit in this country. So the amazing thing is, and that's the thing that really pisses me off, can I tell you, Jessica, we're paying prices in our supermarkets that we're told are dictated by international prices of that particular commodity, whether it's apples or milk or whatever. But we're not getting those products in our supermarkets. We're getting the second grade and third grade stuff, and yet it's first grade prices being applied to us.
That seems very unfair, doesn't it?
So so that's your impression as well?
I feel like we are at the mercy of the duopoly. I feel like, it's really, really hard at the moment to feed your family a balanced diet for a reasonable price. And as you say, we see it all the time that our products are cheaper on supermarket shelves in the UK or in Australia, and I know there are a whole host of reasons for that, but it doesn't stop it feeling really unpleasant and unfair.
Well, particularly when they're getting the first grade stuff cheaper overseas. It's just bizarre. Listen, the other thing, though, it just struck me as listening to you. In the 19th century, and I don't know if you've ever studied history, Jessica, if that's your background or not, but in the 19th century, something very similar was happening to both land in New Zealand and railways in America. And the governments of the day, both in New Zealand with land and with railways in the United States of America,
applied antitrust or anti-corporate legislation to break up those duopolies and to force competition into those areas and assume a degree of equity. Have we reached that particular state as with supermarkets in the 21st century?
Well, that's a really good question. I don't feel I knew nothing about that, but what we are calling for and will continue to call for is for more competition. So whether that means another player entering the market or just fairer access to wholesale so that other businesses can be more competitive, there's got to be another way. The duopoly isn't the answer.
Okay. All right. Jessica, thank you for joining us. I appreciate your time. That's Jessica Walker, who is Communications Manager for Consumer Institute. You can go to the Consumer Institute website. I think it is just consumer.org.nz, okay? Consumer.org.nz.